The Miami Dolphins defeated the Carolina Panthers 49-21.
Fans for the win, back-to-back at the crib. You already know fans for the win. Let's get it.
Now, the game didn't start out how we would have wanted. The Dolphins started the game down 14-0. The entire first quarter was just straight
garbage.
But the Dolphins showed some resolve, came back from down 14-0, and the defense didn't allow a single point after that, which I think shows great resolve for the defense. It is concerning that they were able to easily move the ball the first two drives. But after that, like I said, the only other points they scored was a Mike White pick six because our backups were in. So that's pretty good, all things considered. The offense put up 42 points, which is always a good thing to see. Picking up where they left off offensively. In the first two drives, they stopped themselves. It was less of what the Panthers did and more of what the Dolphins didn't do. So overall, happy with the Dolphins' offense. The defense showed great resolve, letting up 14 points and then locking in. So I'm just going to give a quick breakdown, starting with the offense. Like I said, started strong. Tua had a good game. No real questionable throws. There was one time he kind of threw it up to Tyreek, or rather Jalen Waddle, but nothing overly bad. So I'm happy he protected the football this game because it's been an issue. I do say Mike McDaniel does need to run the ball more early on.
Run the dang ball!
It was the reason our first two drives got stuffed, and there was a lot of times where, like, we're stuck in 2nd and 10, and then we have an incomplete pass, and it's 3rd and 10. It's like, at least make it manageable. And I feel like he will be willing to pound the rock later in the game after we have a bit of a lead. Like, do it early. And I know I'm kind of generalizing, but I don't know. I just feel like early in the game, he needs to be willing to stick to the run a little bit more. I just feel like it gives us a better opportunity to not be in bad situations, 2nd and 3rd and long, where it's more obvious passing downs. It's my only criticism of McDaniel, but I think it was warranted. The offensive line was solid. I mean, we have a backup left tackle and center. As much shit as I and all Dolphins fans give Liam Eichenberg, I didn't notice him, which for an offensive lineman is a good thing. So props to Liam Eichenberg. Kendall Lamb continuing to be an amazing backup left tackle. Like, once again, same thing. I didn't hear a single one of our offensive linemen's names called at all, which is a great thing. And considering we have two backups, love to see it, especially against a good pass rusher and Brian Burns, who's a stud. So overall, very happy with the offensive line. And just more props to give on the offense. Obviously, we all know Tyreek Hill's a stud, but Raheem Mostert, man, I'm not trying to say I called it, but I was very adamant about the Dolphins not trading for Jonathan Taylor, or really I didn't really care for adding Dalvin Cook either. I was like, if it's $2 million short, but Raheem Mostert is a more than capable running back. He put on weight in the offseason, and it's showing. He's been balling. I saw at the end of last season, especially against the Bills, he is such a physical runner for the speed that he has, and it's really showing. He had a dominant day on the ground with 17 carries for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Raheem Mostert's a stud. Love to see that from him. And like I said, offense just continued to where they left off, and the greatest show on earth, baby. Let's go. Now on to the defense. Like I mentioned, off to a rough start. It was not pretty. Bryce Young had his way, and I think you give credit to Bryce Young. He's a young quarterback finding his way in this league, and he showed up pretty well. I mean, the offensive line was getting cooked, and more of that right now. Honestly, my first note for the defense is the defensive line feasted, and I was extremely critical of two main players after the Buffalo Bills game, Christian Wilkins and Bradley Chubb. And what have they done since then? They've shut me up, and they've balled out. Ton of credit to be given to those two. Christian Wilkins had 2 sacks.
Whoa, let's go!
And both of them, it's one thing if a sack is it's an accidental free rusher and he's just running to the quarterback and he sacks him. But Christian Wilkins split the gap on one of them and just straight up beat his man for another. So those are 2 legitimate sacks. And that's the kind of plays that get a man paid. So Christian Wilkins finally showing his value that he was lacking early in the season. And Vic Fangio did say in his press conference he could have been dealing with some rust, but it's clearly shaken off. The Panthers' offensive line's not phenomenal, but it wasn't like the backup Giants line that was faced last week. And Bradley Chubb, too, also had 2 sacks. One of them might got called back from a penalty, but he beat his man straight up. And that's what you want to see from the people that are getting paid a lot of money. So great job by Bradley Chubb. Now, next thing we need to see from them is just consistency and longevity throughout the season, and I hope we see that. Jalen Phillips had a quiet game coming back from injury, but once again, maybe he just needs a little bit of a tune-up. Not here to make excuses, but overall, very happy with how the defense responded after a very poor first 2 drives. So that's really all I've got for today's video. There was a couple injuries suffered by the Dolphins. Chris Brooks had to get carted off, which sucks so bad, man. He's a UDFA, balled all of training camp, made the roster, was blocking last week, showing true heart. Had a couple huge runs in this game and then goes down with a pretty gnarly injury is what it seems. Really hoping it's not as bad as it looked, but it looked potentially season-ending. But hopefully Chris Brooks is all right. And then Xavier Howard was questionable return with a groin injury, which is concerning because he suffered with 2 groin injuries last year, so if it's a re-aggravation, it could be problematic. So just something to keep an eye on there. But that's all I've got for today's video. Comment down below. What were your thoughts on this game? Appreciate you guys for watching. And until next time, I'll catch you.